Welcome to the call with the Prohibition team. We're going to go through and introduce ourselves shortly. We have been sent some questions that we're going to go through and give you a real variety of answers from some of our junior members of staff right the way through to our founders, which will give you a good breadth and understanding of what it's like to work in a sports activation agency. But I thought what we should start with is maybe what is sports activation? I have to say I didn't really know before I joined the company. So if I just hand over to Nick, who's one of our founding partners, he's going to give you a short overview of what sport activation is.
Thanks, Sophie. Yeah, sports activation is providing fun activities at sporting events for the fans. So events where there's an awful lot of fans and there's a lot of dwell time. You'll find at golf tournaments, tennis tournaments, outside rugby stadiums, football stadiums. There's areas where the brands or sponsors or governing bodies want to introduce you into the sport of that stadium, whether it be football, rugby, cricket, or tennis or golf. And as a company, we provide sports activities for the fans to have a go at in a fun environment. And they can be from large fan zones all the way down to a small fan activity. And the breadth of the activities can be from golf simulators to putting activities to kicking a football with some nice shareable digital content along the way. Hopefully that's answered what a sports activation is.
I think so, and I'm sure more will come out as we go through the questions. So now you know what we do, let's tell you who we are. So my name's Sophie. I'm an account manager and I look after some of the marketing for the business. So as an account manager, I have a portfolio of clients and I have to ensure that their ideas are brought to life, working with all of the departments within Prohibition events. So we have to make sure that the events are delivered on time, in budget, and that the client is really happy. From the marketing side, I look after all of our social channels to make sure we're putting out content that shows people what we're up to, make sure we keep relevant in the industry and understand what the world is doing, and also anything that we do with emails and our other marketing avenues, which could be traditional press and media. So that's me. Let me hand over to Jack, and then Jack, you can hand over to whoever you want to until we've done everybody.
Thanks, Soph. So yeah, I'm Jack. I've been with Prohibition for about 2.5 years now, and I work in production and client services. So in the production side, I help with the planning and the organising of events before they go live. And then when they actually do go live, with making sure that they run smoothly on the day and fix any problems, help with the build and the breakdown. And then the client services side, I help and speak to clients about their goals that they want to get from their events before we get to the planning stages, and then speak to them afterwards to make sure everything went well and they're happy and just get as much feedback as possible. And I'll hand over to Gary.
Thank you, Jack. Yeah, my name's Gary. I'm the Director of Client Services at Prohibition. Essentially, my role is to annoy everyone else to make sure that we're delivering projects in line with what our clients want. So that's right from working with our sales team to try and find business, identify business and win new business, through to making sure that we're delivering responses to what they need on time in the early stages, and then making sure that the production team are delivering the events and the campaigns as agreed, and then working with the clients after the event or the campaign to see where we could have potentially improved, or to just sing our praises and talk about the next event that they're going to do with us, hopefully. So yeah, real varied role. I'll hand over to Matt.
Hi, yep. So I'm Matt, Managing Director at Prohibition Events. As part of my role, I oversee all of the teams alongside Gary. So make sure that all of the teams that we've got at Prohibition, so client services, production, finance, business development, digital, all come together. So that when we're either putting a proposal together for a job that we're doing that, we're making sure we're budgeting it correctly, creating amazing visuals, but also making sure that we're using the right materials, the right kit to deliver the job. And then, yeah, on the other side, it's also all of the other things that come with running a business. So looking after the health and safety, overseeing the warehousing and the storage that we've got, the HR side of business, and finance as well. So a bit of everything, but in normal times, it's all hands to the pump and hands on tools when it comes to dealing with the production side of my role. So over to Nick.
Thanks, Matt. Being the founder member alongside Conrad, my role has been over the years everything that these guys have just said, from being a salesperson, the accountant, emptying vans, going to events, teaching golf at events, through to networking, through to packing down, driving back, clearing out the warehouse. And then over the last 10 years as a business, we've grown, and fortunately I've brought in people that can do the jobs that I've just described better than I can. They're more better at it, as I've just said. So now my focus is business development with the vast network that we've built up since 2004. So yeah, that's me now. And over to Conrad. Sorry.
Hey guys, it's Conrad here. Yeah, as Nick said, started the business with Nick back in 2004, founder member. In the early days, I was the one heading out to these wonderful places around the world and setting up the activations and running them. And over the last 4 to 5 years, it's more working and supporting the production team and overseeing the logistics, getting pretty much everything from sale through to live events. My day-to-day would involve elements such as doing the event budgets, client liaison, branding artwork, branding production, doing the kit list, the build plans, health and safety documentation, event staffing, staff travel, and pretty much all the logistics to and from an event. Pretty much, yeah, overseeing, I'd say, the majority of the 1,000 odd events we've done in total since 2004.
That's great, guys. Thank you. So we're going to move on to how you got to where you are today. I think if all of us told you that, we'd be here for probably 2 hours. So we're going to stick with Jack and Matt for this question. So Jack's, a production executive, probably relatively young in his career, and Matt is our MD. I'm not going to say he's not young in his career because he'll be quite upset with me. But if we could start with Jack and then we'll move on to Matt, if that's all right, guys.
Yeah, thank you. So my journey to where I am now probably started by I was looking at university courses. I was a bit unsure of what I wanted to do. So I knew I always loved sports, and I was looking into lots of sports courses. And then I found this events management course that I went to the open day, and it really captured my imagination. So I signed up to that course and I started studying there. And then while I was on the course, I got a chance to do some work experience at the 2015 Rugby World Cup opening ceremony. And it was there that I realized that sports and events could mash together, and it kind of joined the two worlds up for me, which I was really excited about. And that's when I knew I wanted to go into the sports events industry. Once I finished my degree, I got to do 2 internships, both to do with car events, surprisingly, but I got to work at Car Fest, which is a car and music festival down here in South, and which was really great. I just helped out. Again, these are just little internships. I was kind of like running around, just helping out on the day. My second one was at Goodwood Festival of Speed. Again, I was just a runner, but it was so good just to see the whole experience and just be involved in kind of the planning side. It's kind of the side that people don't really see. And then it kind of just brought out stuff I'd learned on my degree, and I could see it working together, and that really got me excited. And then once those were finished, I saw this job opportunity with Prohibition. I went for it and I got the job, and it's been amazing ever since. Worked my way through the company, and yeah, it's great. And that's my story to where I am now.
Great, cheers, Jack. You're forgetting the trips to Hawaii and all over America. So I've been in events for 15 years. I studied event management as well as golf studies, actually. I'm not very good at golf, but I did play a lot of it. Really from while studying, I was working within the events industry pretty much anywhere that would take me. So a bit like Jack, so internships, being a runner on events, there's a lot of events and companies that work at events that need support for the live event. So did that for a good amount of time, and then really found the world of experiential events. So that was really bringing sort of brands to life. And really making sure that they could engage with people sort of on a one-to-one level rather than advertising on the TV, advertising on the radio. So joined an experiential company in London. And actually worked at various London agencies in the world of experiential. Got to work for brands such as Lego, British Gas, Heineken, Macallan Whiskey, pretty much the BP. I could go on, but yeah, it really gave me a good sort of foundation and sort of understanding for how experiential events should be run. And that sort of took me to everywhere in the world, really. So the last event I remember was over in Vegas. We did an exhibition over there, actually for a British firm, and that's what events are about, and that's why I got into events. There's a lot of hard work that goes into it, but when you're at that event and you're seeing it live, that's when it all makes sense. Everything comes together. And I joined Prohibition Events whilst I was working in Ascot at an office there at an agency. I got invited to an event down the road, BMW Championships at Wentworth. Went down there, saw all of the great things that Prohibition Events were doing, and met with Nick and Con, the founders, and went from there, really. And as soon as I joined, I was on a flight to Hong Kong for 4 weeks, whilst trying to manage a roadshow over in the USA. So 2 completely different timelines, 2 time zones. It was but it's great to be part of events, and that's why we're all in it, because of the buzz and excitement that events bring.
Thanks, guys. I think that leads us quite nicely into our next question, actually. It's like some of the highlights of the sporting events that we've attended. And, as a company, we've worked on some of the best ones globally. But Con and Matt, if you guys could maybe give us your top 2. If we could start with Conrad, obviously you've been around the world probably 20 times. And then Matt, if you could maybe give us your top 2 since you've been at Provision.
I think for me, it's going to always be hard to top going to the Olympics in Rio. Just an amazing place. Obviously an incredible event. And we just did a really good, why it sticks out, it was a really good activation. It was just so well received by everyone, we were working with and who we were providing for, see the spectators. Just so well received, and it's definitely the one that sticks out, mainly because we went to watch the Olympics at the same time. But yeah, that for me. And another one really more important for the business was when we undertook the golf shows for a company called American Golf. Pretty much a game changer for Prohibition. We undertook an event in an exhibition environment, and all the challenges of thousands of square feet of exhibition floor space that can offer up. But that is, that got us from doing activations on golf courses to, a different level. And that in turn really gave us the confidence and was the catalyst to, allow us to roll out these bigger events that we do now. Matt?
Yeah, I think the first one that I've already mentioned was over in Hong Kong. So that was in my first month of Prohibition. So we had 4 weeks to deliver 2 experiences over there. It was for the rugby sevens. So we had a sort of fan village right next to the stadium, so outdoors, lots of things to consider with it being an outdoor event with the weather. And then we had another one at a sort of downtown location in a shopping centre. But both really, the activations were about providing kids with the opportunity to take part in the sport and learn new skills in rugby. So that was great. Obviously, working in Hong Kong is very different to anywhere else. You know, making sure that you're tick boxing all of the health and safety and the regulations that come with working in a country like that. So that was a memorable moment when that opened up. And I'd say the second of many would have been at the Ryder Cup in 2018. So we delivered numerous activations, but we designed, built and delivered a fan zone in the middle of a Paris town square space. So we took over a huge space. We brought all the kit over. We built it for a week. We had it running for 2 weeks, and it was it's an experience which is referenced by a lot of clients to this day about how great it was, and it was just a really cool sort of fan zone to be part of. So big screens, loads of touch points, and photo mechanics, and different golf shots that you could take part in, and shops and health and safety. But I would say that was the sort of most memorable in terms of when the doors opened and that first person came through. It was a really great feeling to see that all come to life.
Very cool. So obviously we've told you a lot about what sports activation is and the places we've travelled. We've been very lucky, but we wanted to tell you a little bit about why it's important, because it does actually bring in a whole nother layer to events, and it's just growing and growing over the last few years. So we're going to hand over to Gary and Nick for this one as they spearhead the strategic direction of the business. So over to you guys.
Yeah, so there's two main reasons from my perspective why sort of fan experiences and sport activations are so important. So from a brand perspective, it gives them a great platform to be able to speak to people that might be aware of the brand already, or might be new to the brand, and so that they can give them a really great experience, a fun experience, and sort of, you know, at the end of the day, it's all about selling more products or services from a brand's perspective. And if they give people a great experience at a sporting event where everyone's there to have a good time anyway, and watch the sport on the pitch or on the course, then it just means that those people will remember that brand, and sort of look out for them in future when they're potentially considering buying whatever products or services that they offer. And then from the other side of things is for the spectators and the fans themselves. So, you know, a lot of sporting events are quite expensive to go to now. So if you go to, as I do, a rugby international at Twickenham a couple of times a year, the ticket is very expensive. And sometimes if it's a terrible game in the pouring rain, especially being in England, you don't feel like you've got value for money. Whereas nowadays people expect for their ticket more than just to watch the sporting action itself. So they want to be entertained before and after the game, and they want to have great experiences that they can tell people about in person, but also share on social media and show off to their friends and family about what they've been getting up to that Saturday or whenever it might be. So they're the kind of two reasons that brands feel it's important, but also the fans and the spectators going along to the events as well. Nick?
Yeah, why are fan zones important? A couple of points that I find myself saying more and more is, I think the sporting event, whatever it is, whether it be the 90 minutes of football, the 80 minutes of rugby, or the 18 holes of golf, that particular event has to offer more than just the actual game itself or the 18 holes of golf. So now most people, families can go to any sporting event, whether it be Silverstone, whether it be Ascot, whether it be golf, whether it be rugby, whether it be football. You don't have to be the golf. You don't have to be just a golfer to go to golf events anymore, or footballer to go to football events. So all these sports are trying to attract families to come to that particular sport, and therefore there's better catering now, there's better merchandise to buy, but there's also fan zones to keep you entertained either before, during, or after those sporting events. So for all these events that are happening, they're competing against each other for the fans, and if they can offer more activations and fan zones, then it makes those sporting events more memorable, and hopefully you're then going to come back next year to visit that championship or that event. So yeah, but they're becoming more and more integral. It used to be fan zones used to be a nice thing to have at an event and not a necessity, but we're finding ourselves, we're becoming more of a necessity than a nice thing for those competitive reasons.
Thanks, guys. So the next thing to talk about is planning. So anyone that's been to an event or works on events, 90% of the event is the planning, and then 10% is the delivery. So we're working away in the background. So we just wanted to tell you a little bit about timelines. So Jack, I wondered if you could tell us about some of our shorter timelines or our smaller events, and then Matt, maybe some of the bigger tenders and the timelines around those. That would be great.
Yeah, so for me, in events, I don't think there's any kind of average event or average timeline that you can come across, because it's kind of what's exciting about the events industry is there's no 2 days the same. So we could come in, like Matt's going to talk about, a big proposal could come in and we have like a year to work on this. Or I've also worked on events where the calls come in on the Monday and we're running it on the Sunday. So it's such a huge variety of time for the planning. But yeah, like I said, that's what makes it exciting. And I'm sure Matt will try to tell you about the longer ones. But yeah, the small ones, they'll come in, you've got to get the call, someone wants a long putt or something, just downtown in a city centre or something, and you just got to quickly check the kit, make sure you've got it, plan it, get everything done. But yeah, it's just the turnaround time. Sometimes it's long, sometimes it's really short, but that's what makes it exciting. And over to Matt.
Yeah, I remember when Jack joined 3 years ago. It was the first week he joined, it was, right, can you head to Scotland for the Open? We need you there for a couple of days. And how long were you there for in the end, Jack?
A couple of days turned into about 2 weeks.
Yeah. So that's how sort of quickly things can change in events. And yeah, we have some really great relationships with clients of ours. They love working with us because we're passionate, we're likable, we get it done. And then there's clients where there's a new event, or there's a new activation that needs to happen, and either that's the case of we know these people and we can start working with them, or we would have to go through a tender process, an RFP process, which is basically them putting the job out to maybe 3 or 4 suppliers and saying, can you come back with a response in terms of how much it's going to cost and what it would look like if you did
way you can. Like Matt said, just take every opportunity and you will pick things up quicker and quicker.
I think that's a really great overview. And I mean, just to add to a lot of my colleagues have been to uni. I personally didn't go to university. I took an internship in my 20s at another company, and I've worked my way up and just had a passion for sport myself, and moved into working in the events sports world through that way. So, you know, don't worry if that's not the path for you. As Jack said, it's all about on-hands experience, and no one wants to hear